Hello, everyone. Jason Hagholm here, back for another edition of Jason and the Gentleman, episode 40. Josh, can you believe it? 40 shows of these. But as always, to do this show, I need the gentleman of mixed martial arts, the gentleman Josh Hill. Josh, how are you? I know you had a successful trip up to Montreal with some of your guys getting some wins on the amateur scene.
Yeah, man. We were out in Montreal this weekend for that MFL show out there. And we had two guys fight, and Isaiah and Thomas both came away with the W. So it was a good trip, man. All in all, it was good to finally get some amateur fights because there hasn't been anything happening in that scene at all. So it was good to get those guys back in the – actually, it was a ring. It wasn't even a cage.
Right.
But, yeah, just to get some competition. And, yeah, it was good, man.
Well, I'm glad to see your guys get some wins. Glad to see you guys MFL running up again. They're pretty much the only – amateur scene in Canada right now, so
really,
it's nice to see them getting a show going, and hopefully they got more shows going with the COVID kind of dying down right now. But good to see that scene back, and MMA as a whole in Canada starting to pop back up, especially on the pro scene with Unified, BTC promotion now in Quebec. So that whole scene it's popping off. We're getting back to normal, Josh.
Yeah, the amateur scene. I mean, I was trying to get one of my guys a fight, and it was easier to get him a pro fight than it was an amateur fight. It's been brutal. So MFL really is the only one on the East Coast anyway that's really popping off amateur shows. In Ontario, obviously, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And going to the States right now is a bit of an issue. You know what I mean, for most people. So it's tough, but. Yeah, I'm glad to see that that their MFL's been. Maz is the guy that runs this. He's always good to work with and good for the Amies.
Yeah, shout out to Maz for continuing his great work for getting the amateur scene up and going. But as we transition away from your guys' success, Josh, it was a big weekend for the bantamweights in the UFC. Yeah. And I think once again, we said it towards the end of our show last week. Bantamweight, clearly right now, I think the best division in all of mixed martial arts, and headlined last Saturday night by arguably a Fight of the Year candidate, TJ Dillishaw, making his return after a 2-year suspension from USADA against Cory Sandhagen, who, if he won that fight, was probably going to be a number one contender. All in all, I thought this was an excellent fight, back and forth. Judges gave the nod to TJ Dillishaw. First of all, Josh, how did you score the fight, and what'd you think of this fight? Because I was just blown away by TJ's perseverance and performance, especially after 2 years off.
So I still haven't seen it.
The
fights out in Montreal we didn't get out there until, I don't know, after the fights were over. So we missed it, man. I watched just kind of the play-by-play updates and stuff. But from what I've kind of read, and I've just seen some highlights, so I haven't watched the fight in its entirety, but a lot of people said it was super close, and more people kind of leaning towards Sandhagen from just what I've seen. But it was, very, very close, and TJ weathered a lot of storms apparently and took some damage, but overall probably controlled more of the fight. Is that how it sounded? Is that accurate?
Yeah, TJ was able to use his wrestling at moments and pin Sandhagen up against the fence or take Cory's back, which I think weighed heavier on the judges than some of the strikes that Sandhagen landed. But it was a back-and-forth fight, and I hope you find time to check it out. But, first round, there's really a couple definitive rounds. Like the second round, Sandhagen, punched Dillashaw right in the face and caused a nasty cut, right in his eye. So that was a very definitive round for Sandhagen. I gave the first round to Dillashaw. The third round I gave to Dillashaw. The fourth to Sandhagen. And the fifth to Dillashaw. It was close, 48-47 for me for TJ Dillashaw. But I was just blown away by his performance because Sandhagen was going for a heel hook, knee bar in the first round and messed up popped the knee out of the alignment or messed it up for TJ, and then to take that punch and have a huge gash and pretty much fight with one eye for 2+ from the second round onward. I was just and you're coming off 2 years away, you haven't had anything like that to experience. So I was just blown away by the perseverance, and this is the kind of fight I think that can help erase the steroid use that's going to probably always linger with TJ. But if you have more fights like that where you're, going on one leg, one eye, and you find a way to grind out a decision win, I mean, hats off to TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, I think you're right there. It'll help him get back in the good graces of some people. You know what I mean? It'll help not get rid of that, that tarnish the legacy like he did, but it'll definitely help, because if he went out there and had a strong first round, second round, and then faded third, fourth, and fifth, and just looked like shit by the end of the fight, then people would be like, yeah, it was the steroids. You know what I mean? That's why he's was so dominant. But I mean, I'm sure he got tested a lot, and I mean, we'll see if anything comes back. Positive or anything like that. Hopefully not. But if he was clean in this fight, then that will help him a lot, just to show that. I mean, TJ is a good fighter, and he's a fucking crazy competitive athlete just from training with him. So I know he's going to have that anyway, but it's just that factor of not having a substance enhancement to help, right? I want to see how that would play out mentally, but he's mentally tough, man.
Definitely. And obviously, like, you can say have fights like that and they can, change the reputation, but he still has to test clean, obviously, right? Like even anything of the sort of steroids or drugs or anything like that just kills the momentum. But hey, he fought hard, and he was very complimentary of the skills that Sandhagen brought to him. And I'm just happy to see that, how the quality level of the fight was. And I mean, a lot of people are saying it was kind of leaning towards it was a robbery. This fight was close. Like, there was a lot of rounds that were really hard to decipher who got the better of what. Like, I know there was a limited side more so on the Dillashaw side, like myself, but the majority was with Sandhagen. I didn't think Sandhagen got robbed. Yeah. But I guess this card, though, and judging so far this year, Josh, you've known it's been kind of all over the place. Right. It's really like taken a dive down, and especially in the Macy Barber Miranda Maverick fight, where I thought Miranda Maverick really did enough to win, 2 out of the 3 rounds, and the judges gave it to Macy Barber. And I know Barber, she trains with Alpha Male and all those guys now, but like, that just messed up the momentum for Maverick. It messes up her money. Like, the judging was just awful. Trend continues, and especially on Saturday night.
Yeah, it just seems like it's getting worse, or we're just noticing it way more. I don't know. Like, it's just show after show. It's just like, what was that? What was that? And not just in UFC, and other promotions as well, too, right? So
yeah, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. So it's I don't know, man. I don't know. They got to do something. Like, people that have never fought before or even trained before should have not even a chance of being a judge. You know what I mean? And there has to be some universal laid out criteria of how they're judging things, and what is worth more. And, it's because nobody knows, we're how many years into this sport, but yeah, the Barber Maverick one, again, I heard a lot of people saying it's close, but I did hear a lot of people say that Maverick should have won the fight. So yeah, man. But yeah, if it was that definitive, that sucks, because you just put an L on somebody's record. Working towards a title shot, that kind of screws that up. Now it's a setback, right? So, and then not even to mention the money. You're losing out on a lot of money, and then you're messing with somebody's livelihood and providing for their family.
Well, I think in support of Miranda Maverick and how she kind of did get jobbed by the judges here, the heavyweight champion of the UFC, Francis Ngannou, was basically pretty much stating, in support of her in a tweet kind of like that. And pretty much, we need to get rid of show win pretty much as a whole right now in the sport. Like, one solid wage for everyone that that win, lose, or draw, you're going away with X amount of dollars. Then, you get fight and, 3 people that maybe don't, in some cases, don't have no business scoring a fight, have just cost you the majority of your purse.
I'm glad he's somebody like that is saying that, somebody with some clout. I've been saying that for years. It's just ridiculous, really, when you think of it. And it's just become a norm in MMA. And people just kind of go along with it and expect that now when they sign contracts, right? So, yeah, I don't agree with that at all, because there's no, there should just be a fight thing, and then maybe like a finish incentive or something like that. Or obviously they have performance bonuses. So stuff like that's cool. But there should be a guaranteed salary and it shouldn't just be your show money. It should be you get an X amount of dollars, win, lose, or draw. You're going out there, and this is what you're getting paid.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Especially where we know how much value UFC has to Endeavor. I mean, they're a public company. Endeavor is now a public company, so I don't know why we can't get that and make that change happen. If you're not going to change judging as a whole, at least change this aspect, this pay structure for fighters, because too many fighters have just been hosed this year by judges. Whether it's Miranda Maverick on Saturday or especially Kai Kamaka from a couple months ago.
Yeah, see, that's something like the pay structure that is something the UFC or any promotion, the big promotions, can control. That's their decision. The judging thing is commission based.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a little bit out of their hands, but it should be on the commissions to kind of start that. And obviously, the Vegas commission is probably the most known and the most clout. And usually, a lot of commissions follow what they do. So it would be nice for them to kind of set the precedent on having properly educated and experienced judges.
Well, and it's them so far that's had the most of judging issues with their commission. Yeah. Whether it's Chris Lee having some terrible scorecards going on forward and whatnot, and PFL had a disaster pretty much in New Jersey for their time there, and we'll see what happens when they go to Florida. But still, yeah, it's commissions.
Connecticut too had a bunch with those.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like as you're saying, everywhere's had issues this year with judging, and it's just getting, as you said, it's getting more noticeable, which is hurting the sport, I think, in the long run. It's trending it towards that kind of, mid 2000s boxing era where it was just like every fight would go to a decision and be some sort of shenanigans or whatever. I don't think there's anything politic-wise related to it more so as much boxing was, but you get the stench of bad judges in there. It just hurts the sport more than it needs to right now.
Yeah, it's a turnoff for everyone, especially the fighters, obviously, but even the fans when they watch that, and it's like what the hell is this shit? You know what I mean? And it's just it's just a negative thing in the sport right now that's continuing.
Absolutely, exactly. But I kind of just want to jump back to the main event of Sandhagen Dillashaw. Josh, it's so crazy how deep this 135-pound division is, whether it's UFC, Bellator. I know PFL doesn't have a division, ACA, but everywhere there's a 135-pound division, it's competitive. The fights are compelling, and they're like, you can see the next guy that could be making a run at it. It's just crazy how this 135-pound division, all in mixed martial arts, has become, to me, the pound-for-pound best division in the entire sport.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, it's a biased opinion. I just think it's become the new lightweight,
Yeah.
Or lightweight was kind of, in my mind, was like the deepest and best division for a long time. Welterweight had its time too at one point, but I think bantamweight right now it is definitely the hottest, and it could, I think it's just a combination of guys are obviously smaller, right? But they still have that power. They still have that speed. You're seeing 25ers go up, 45ers go down. And it just, it's such an exciting division, man.
I just want to know, I just don't know how obviously the talent is there, but it's all of a sudden everyone's just really picking 135, especially if you're smaller. That 125-pound cut's just a little too much. 135 is perfect. You're too small for 145, and then all of a sudden you just get everyone herded right into 135, and we're getting the magic that is happening right now in that weight class. It's just kind of wild to see how this division has just grown leaps and bounds, because it was always one of my favorite divisions back in the WEC days, but now it's the marquee division, I think, in terms of quality of fights and I think intrigue right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I like I said, I think it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know how, because 45 has the same type of thing. I just don't think it's as deep. And then lightweight is still a killer division. But I think all those are. I mean, I think the top three divisions that have the most talent, rich pools, 35, 45, 55, and maybe that's just the average man size is probably anywhere in the midst of that. guys probably walk around at 170 or 165 and they come down to 45, and then lightweight they probably walk around at 85, come down to 55. So that's probably where majority of men are, right? And obviously bantamweight's a little bit smaller guys, but yeah, I'm assuming that's kind of where it's all coming from.
Hey, I love it. It's bringing us great fights. It brought us a Fight of the Year candidate last Saturday with Sandhagen and TJ Dillishaw. I mean, it's also impressive to me with those two guys. Like, we knew the fight could be really good and had a lot of, storylines going in, but they delivered and then some. Like, there was a moment in the first round where Sandhagen went for the flying knee, that same flying knee that knocked out Frankie Edgar, and Dillashaw ducked and Cory was able to turn his body and try to hit an inverted triangle attempt out of nowhere. It was like, if he was able to go for the flying knee to an inverted triangle, you've won Fighter of the Year in my mind. That would have been just the most craziest video game type finish, but TJ was able to fight out of it. But still, 135 just continues to bring all the goods all around mixed martial arts right now. Yeah,
man. And the co-main was one that I was surprised with, to be honest. With Paiva and that what's his name again?
Kyler Phillips.
Phillips, that's it. That one was because I know Paiva. I trained with him at Alpha Male, and I remember him trying to say he was flyweight, and I was like, dude, he's enormous, dude, taller than me, bigger than me, and that's why he missed weight a few times at flyweight. That's why he's moved up. But I knew that was going to be a really tough fight for him. I know Paiva was really good, but watching what that guy did with Song, and I don't know what Song is, I'm like, this might be a tough fight for him. But I was pleasantly surprised to see him come out with the W, man. That's a huge win for him.
Definitely was a huge win for him. I was impressed as well, because I thought, as we talked about, Phillips wins that fight, he's 10-1, and then you got to look at a top 15, got to put him in the rankings, even though we know how much rankings don't mean anything. But he gets a step up in competition and becomes another marquee player at 135. But, Paiva was able to do enough to get the big decision win.
Yeah, man, that's huge for him. And I think he's obviously has a fairly decent following, but I think that will definitely pump him up a bit, you know what I mean? Especially a guy that was coming from flyweight that missed a bunch of times. I'm sure that doesn't sit well with the promotion. So to come in and fight at a weight class up and you have a really good performance over a really good guy, that's big.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we also had Randy Costa and Adrian Yanez. I mean, Yanez took a beating in the first round, was able to come back and get a TKO victory in the second round with a beautiful combination that was sealed off with a devastating body shot. And every time I see body shots like that, I'm like, I don't know why more MMA fighters don't find the openings for the body shots. I know boxing and MMA is different than, in boxing, but I just love a good body shot finish. And sometimes I feel like there's too much head hunting, even though maybe you're protecting yourself from the counter. I'm not sure. I don't know. You can obviously speak to that more, you being the fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I love the body shots too. And even myself, I don't know. I guess it's just because when I do in training on pads, my left hook to the body is one of my best punches, one of my hardest punches, but I don't really use it a lot in fights. I don't know. I want to start doing that more because it can hurt people. But yeah, man, I think it's just with the little gloves and with all the other things that are mixed in with it, right? So it's, like you said, it's not just boxing where I can't just kind of sit in that little position and hit the body like that just because you got knees up the middle and kicks, obviously, and elbows in close range. And to get into hit the body, you do have to get in that range. And then obviously the takedown. So it is trickier to land those type of things in mixed martial arts than it is a strictly striking sport. But yeah, you're right. I want to see it more for sure. I want to do it more too. I got to get that.
Yeah, going. We got to see the body hill shot from Josh Hill. Get himself some bonuses in Bellator. But for Yanez, this guy's quickly rising up the 135 ranks, becoming a name, and one of the more successful guys in recent memory coming off the Contender Series. So proof of how successful the Contender Series is even though I know we've talked about, if you have a flying knee knockout, you're going to get signed instantly because of what they love in that. And some guys haven't panned out because they get a spectacular knockout. But Yanez is a guy that had a great finish on the Contender Series and continues to have finishes against top-tier tough guys at 135 in the UFC.
Yeah, I think he's kind of surpassed that, that period of is he going to be actually talented, or is he just did he get lucky on the Contender Series? And no, the guy's obviously super talented and on the right track, man, and getting nice wins and nice fights. So.
And the other thing, I guess, before we move on from the card, that was the best performance I've seen Mickey Gall have. Like, obviously his biggest win in the UFC, or most memorable win in the UFC, is when he beat up CM Punk, which doesn't say much per se, but he went out there, looked totally reinvigorated.
Really his biggest win, bro.
Hey, I mean, in terms of marquee, people, that's how he got in really big into the UFC. Shot his shot, worked out, got the win, and then he's kind of been up and down the past few years in the UFC, and he looked fantastic against Jordan Williams, and really was just able to manhandle Williams and get a rear naked choke finish. And it's nice to see someone like that go through adversity and then have a performance like that. So props to Mickey Gall.
That's because that kind of shit is needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Adversity is needed because you come out the other side, and just even like neurologically, going through something like that and having to deal with it properly, it just will make you a better fighter, right? So, or it can make you a better fighter. I don't want to say it will, because some people don't do that, right? But yeah, good for him. There's one other one that I obviously didn't get to see, but I knew he was going to win. I knew it was a great matchup for him. That's my dude Elkins, man. And,
you can never bet against the damage.
I mean, if you just like kind of give Darren a little thing, he starts bleeding in a fight, because he's so much scar tissue and whatnot, and he always has to kind of battle through some adversity. He's that perfect example of that. But yeah, I knew that this would be a good matchup for him stylistically. Minor, however you say it, he's a guy that first round is usually always pretty solid, but he tends to fade in fights, more so of a grappler too. And so I knew, Darren, I've had him on top of me. He's as strong as an ox and very good jiu-jitsu, very underrated. So I knew this was a good matchup for him, and yeah, he got the W.
Yeah, I was very happy for Darren as well, because as per usual, a typical Darren Elkins fight, he takes a beating, bleeding like a stuffed pig, and loses the first round, and then just comes back and is able to absorb any submission attempts and have the fight go his way and get a grounded pound finish in the second round. So yeah, shout out to the damage, Darren Elkins, a guy that still has that in him and can make anyone's night a tough night in the UFC. He's super, super, super durable.
Yeah, and if anybody that has to fight Elkins, like, you have to have a superb cardio gas tank, man, because it's going to be hard to put that guy away. So the longer that fight goes, he's just going to keep coming. So you got to know that you can go that full 15 with your foot on the gas.
Never, ever, anyone, if you're betting on this sport or whatever, and you see Darren Elkins in there, don't ever discount the damage. Got to pick the damage, because his nickname is the damage, and he literally lives up to it, takes a licking, and keeps on ticking. Well, that was a pretty solid UFC card, one that I felt when you looked at that main card, Josh, could have even been a pay-per-view with some of the fights on there. Obviously, maybe they wouldn't rely on the marketing, but I just thought for a fight night card, this was one of the most stacked fight night cards we've had in a long time. And that makes us move on towards October, where UFC 267 is apparently going to be a numbered UFC show, but free over the air, because it's going to be in Abu Dhabi, and we have 2 title fights. Sticking with the bantamweights, Peter Yan's looking to win the belt back from Aljamain Sterling, and then we got Teixeira looking to win the light heavyweight title from Yan. So I mean, I kind of like that they're giving that one free away. It's a bigger show around a crazy sports season, and then a couple weeks.
Is the time difference? Is that why? Is it going to be during the day maybe or something?
I think it has something to do with that. I mean, as well. There's a couple weeks later, we're going to the news that was announced today that in November, we're having Usman versus Covington 2. No dates officially announced, but it's probably going to be an MSG. So you don't want to have 2 pay-per-views within 2 weeks of each other. So give us one card like that for free, bounce this one off to pay-per-view. But first of all, your thoughts on the 267, being free and the 2 title fights, because I think these are the fights that had to happen. Especially the bantamweight one, this one had to be rematched as soon as possible.
Free's always good. I always like
Free's always good, yes.
But yeah, man, that fight is it's such a weird situation that they're in, right? So you have to have a fight again, just because in a fight that Jan was clearly took over and was beating up Aljamain, but by the end of it, and then just to kind of throw us blatantly stupid illegal move. It wasn't even in motion. You know what I mean? It just kind of ruined everything. You know what I mean? So yeah, you got to run it back and just kind of see a proper finish to this.
Yeah, I think there's still the questions of would Jan have just either finished Sterling or grinded out a decision. And for Sterling, I mean, you got to have this fight and find a way to win because you're super doubted right now as even being a credible champion, even though to me, like he is, there's rules for a reason. Yeah. That's why we have, you can't knee or hit a down opponent with, all points down. But I think that's got to motivate you more if you're the champion where you're being treated as the challenger and not even a real champion.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's why that rule was gone. We wouldn't have this issue, which I think they should get rid of that one. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be the underdog probably going into it on betting lines. I would imagine anyway. And yeah, I mean, it's got to I don't know. I mean, Sterling seems like a very confident guy, so I think he'll kind of take this and use it, as to kind of silence the doubters, to say it's not credible, blah blah blah. I mean, it's hard, man, because you don't want to win like that and take the belt and be like, I'm the champ, I'm the champ, I'm the man. When you're getting beat up at the end there, and then the guy lost the fight, you didn't really win the fight. You know what I mean? But then also you're the champ now. Technically, you have the belt, you're the champion. You get more money, you get more publicity, things like that. So you kind of want to not just sit idle and say anything and utilize that moment. Because you still, I mean, you did earn it. You went out there and you fought your ass off, and it was your opponent's mistake that cost him, and you got the win. So it's that weird situation, man. I kind of feel for both guys. But Jan, I mean, it is at fault, right?
Jan's definitely at fault. He threw the knee when he knew he probably knew he shouldn't have. I don't know. Like I said, if any fight in the UFC that needed a rematch, this was the one to do. And as you were saying, before we get to just a little dabble on Jan and Glover, because another fight that needed to be made, and I'm happy Glover's actually getting the chance with a date now set up. Saw Colorado, they have passed that you can have a one championship style rule, so knees to ground opponents and stuff like that. So kind of interesting to see if one does a show there, or if other promotions there start sanctioning cards with that rule set over the traditional, unified rules of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, that'll be weird because you don't see promotions change rules, because especially when they go usually anywhere. Even when UFC, if I can remember, went to Japan. They've been to Japan, right? I'm pretty sure.
They haven't been in a while, but they have been in Japan.
But it wasn't Pride style, right? There was no.
No, it was their rule set. Yes.
See, that's so if you went to Colorado, I guess, I don't know, would UFC still have the to be able to make the rules they wanted, or would they just have to abide by the commission rules?
I'm sure they would just, I guess they have the choice to, pick which rule set, where obviously they'd pick the unified rules. But I'm just thinking more if one wants to run a show there, okay, now they can do the rule set that they like. And if you're a regional promotion, you want to differentiate yourself, go with that rule set. People think it's a better rule set. I mean, I think Ryzen is the best rule set personally. But why not try something different to separate yourself with a different rule set that has a lot more pros to me than the unified rules of mixed martial arts?
Yeah. Is Risen the same as Pride rules?
They are, but they actually have now. They used to. I think that you can now elbow straight down. 12-6 is now good to go. They made a rule change where it's now literally the most violent rule set in all of MMA, because you can soccer kick people, you can elbow them straight down,
and you elbow regular elbows.
Yeah, regular elbows.
Okay,
so you can do that. Right. And their rules are also stricter over there for weight misses. There was a fighter that missed weight and he won the fight, but he didn't win the fight. It was just called no contest instantly.
Really? Yeah.
So let's get that rule set going out there.
Yeah, I don't mind that, man. That, or it's you got 75% of your purse or something like that. You know what I mean? A huge portion, not just 20 or 30%. Yeah, that has to be upped big time. So that's cool. I like that, man.
But I like to see like these states now trying it. I'm not surprised it's Colorado that adopted the one championship rule set, because Colorado's such a forward-thinking state with whether it's marijuana.
The UFC there, right? So
yeah, well, exactly. The first UFC was there, but I mean, Colorado's just a forward-thinking state. Whether it's they're being the first state to legalize marijuana there, and they're willing to take these risks because they're one of the smarter states, I think, in how things are done in the United States. So it'll be interesting to see if I'm one, like, I got to get a show there as fast as possible.
I mean, yeah, if they're going to come over to stateside, then absolutely, man. If they can do that and start pulling from the North American market.
I mean, they have so many North Americans under contract anyway. You're saving them like the 15-hour flights to Singapore or India or wherever they're running a show. Like, why not get out there and make it look, spectacular with all your apparently, 15 gajillion viewers that watch your promotion and stuff like that. So why not get going? I'm just
I think it would. They should. I agree. I would love it if they did, but I think they're just so set over there.
Well,
in Asia,
they're more successful, obviously.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like there's no like issue about are we going to pull enough people to watch this or you'd be at the event? So it's just, but I guess you got to take that risk to kind of branch out, right?
Well, I mean, in North America, they're like Bellator is here in Canada. They're just streaming their stuff on YouTube, so you don't have to worry about a TV deal or anything like that. You just stream, and they have that connection with TNT, so you could, in theory, I don't know when you're going to find the space with NBA being a big thing on TNT, NHL now getting on TNT and whatnot, trying to find the space to get a show there live, but there is that option.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. I mean, I miss out on a lot of one shows because of the time difference and whatnot, and just places to watch it. But yeah, I would like it if they started coming to North America too.
They have a show this Friday at like 8:30 in the morning, Josh, but and free on YouTube.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta, and I mean, if you miss it, you can watch it all live as they just upload it right to their account.
That's cool. On YouTube account, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, and that's awesome, dude.
So let's just quickly go. Jan Glover, happy this is the fight. Yeah. Glover's like 44 years old, deserves this fight, especially the run he's been on. And he was just worried about when the date's going to happen, and now we get a date. It looks like just before Halloween, October 30th, in Abu Dhabi. I'm just happy that he's getting the shot. I'm still picking Jan to win the fight early, a couple months out, but this is the last shot for Glover Teixeira. He's fought for a title before against John Jones, didn't go his way, had to work his way up. You want to talk about adversity, lots of ups, lots of downs, but now he's on like the best run of his career, and he could leave Abu Dhabi on October 30th as the light heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, man, that's cool. It's good to see. It's a very similar situation to Jan, actually, who is as the title now. So they're older guys that have been around a long time. Glover probably had more success early than Jan did, and then Jan kind of made that resurgence. But Glover's kind of always just been there. He's had climbed up to the title shot, lost, win, lost here. And then now he's kind of put a string together at as old as he's ever been at 44 years old. And it's cool I'm glad to see him get a title shot. And I think the lack of top contenders in that division definitely helped him, get that opportunity. But it's good to see. We'll see what happens. I think I'll pick Jan as well. I think he'll probably more so likely clip him and probably finish him. I'd say like maybe second round. But I mean, good for Glover to get that crack.
Yeah, good for Glover. And then, I mean, the biggest news from today is like early November, probably in Madison Square Garden, Usman, Covington 2. I mean, this is the fight I guess you had to make, especially considering they still are rivals. And, I mean, Colby hasn't fought since he beat Tyron Woodley towards the end of last year. But to me, it's like it was such a competitive first fight. Yeah. Why not get the fight happening? Have it in Madison Square Garden and let them to just try to sell it as much as they can with their bad blood. But to me, it's like if Usman wins this, he has to be like the fighter of the year, because you've gone in 2021, you beat Burns and then you beat Masvidal, and that was within like a 2 month to 1 month span. And then you beat Colby Covington, who's one of the toughest guys at 170 pounds, like you instantly have to give him the crown for Fighter of the Year in 2021, and you're really adding to the stock of you being one of the best welterweights of all time.
He's definitely getting there, man. You know, we talked about before where I'm like, you know, he's not on GSP level yet, and I still don't think he is yet, but he is climbing fast. You know what I mean? Especially that, not just the win over Masvidal, but the way he did it too. Yeah. You know, they're just so, just nobody expected that to happen. Like, I think a lot of people expect him to win, but not like that. You never would have bet that in the world. I'm sure there's some guys that made a bunch of money on it, but yeah, he's rising quick. And the Colby fight, that first fight, man, I had it 2-2 if I can remember right, going into the fifth. And I still think the stoppage was early. If it continued on, you know, Usman probably would have won the decision anyway, most likely. But still, it was super, super close fight, and it was an amazing fight from what I remember. So yeah, that makes sense. And obviously, Colby's he's an idiot, but like, you know, he's funny and people. He talks a lot of shit. People want to see him lose, so it's another draw, right?
Well, he's the 1985 Roddy Piper, where people are paying money to watch him get beat up. Like, I posted in one of the Facebook groups I'm in about like this fight's announced, and more people were like, I don't want to see people get hurt, but I'd like to see Colby Covington get hurt. Yeah. And I mean, that's just the art of being a heel, and he's marketed this very well. Some of it may come off corny in ways, but he's drawn the ire of some of the hardcore fans, and he's still got beef with Kamaru. And I mean, this is going to be some heated trash talk, and maybe at moments be a little inappropriate, but that's the drama that the UFC wants to help sell fights, and you need a rivalry as well. But I mean, for it to be a rivalry, though, Colby does have to win this fight and take the title, because you can't go 0-2 against someone and call it a rivalry.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, if Colby was to win it, then you got yourself a nice trilogy too, right? So it's a good fight.
A nice trilogy, and Colby Covington is a champion in the UFC. Like, look out for anything he gets in front of a camera.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was the interim champ, right? Wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
I mean, didn't they have like 8 interim belts at one time? You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was that period of where it didn't even matter, the belt. But yeah, man. You know, he talked all this shit, but he is a good fighter. You know, he brings it, man. His wrestling's great. His cardio is amazing. His striking has come a long way. So, you know, he definitely brings it.
He's such a durable fighter, and just how good of a fight the first one was. I think is going to be. I don't think it's going to be the same. I don't think Colby's going to try to stand there and strike as much with Kamaru, where Kamaru's striking, especially under Trevor Whitman, now has just gotten so much better since the end of 2019 till, as we talk now, towards the end of July. Yeah. But I think it's still going to be a real good competitive fight. And, you know, being in New York also does help, especially Madison Square Garden. That helps add some intrigue to the fight.
How long, right? 2 years probably, because of all this shit.
Yeah, I think 2019 was the last time they were there. So
will it be full of live fans and everything? Is it?
I think it would be. I mean, the Knicks playoffs games were definitely there with fans. Okay,
good. Sweet. I'm not sure how New York was. I know they were crazy land for a while too. So
yeah, well, they were heated and heavy with it, but I think they're gonna find a way to get some fans in. They had vaccinated fans only, I think, for the Knicks playoff games that were there. So I don't know if it'll be like that or whatnot. But
well, I don't think the UFC will do that, dude.
Was that a UFC call though, or is that a state of New York call?
True, but maybe I don't know. We'll see. I just don't know if they would do that and go there if that was the case.
I think if as America starts to open up, you want to be in the number one market, and you fought so hard to get the sport legal there, you may still bow down. But I don't know whose call that would be, but I would expect there to be a ruckus house in November for UFC. I guess 268 is what it's going to be, and that's the big news. I think it's the right fight to make, and like I said, if Usman wins this, easily fighter of the year and just adding to his legacy. But before we get out of here, Josh, there's no way we could not talk about there. Yes, there is a UFC on Saturday, And no offense to Uriah Hall and Sean Strickland, who are main eventing, but Saturday to me is all about Bellator. Bellator 263, Pitbull McKee for the finals of the Featherweight Grand Prix for $1 million for the Featherweight Championship. Biggest fight in Bellator history. Like, the buzz is there right now for Bellator to really capitalize on this moment.
Yeah. So it is probably the biggest fight in the company for sure, I would imagine, especially because they're both two like homegrown guys that are at the top and are just been so dominant. You know what I mean? So it's a huge fight for them. The whole card, actually, they stacked it pretty good. It's a good card.
Yeah, I was going to definitely get into that, especially like, the co-main event, Mads Burrell, Emmanuel Sanchez. Like, Sanchez is coming off the loss to Pitbull, and Mads Burrell is this real solid prospect from Denmark that Bellator picked up on one of their European trips, and he's off to a solid start in Bellator. Yeah,
that's a good one, man. Sanchez is always tough and durable, and that is a big up and coming European fighter. And obviously, the other one that I'm excited about is Magomedov and Stotts. That's a huge one for bantamweight, and I think it's 100% number one contender fight. Whoever wins will get it.
It is, but unfortunately, Stotts is hurt, so it's off.
Really?
Yes, Stotts, I believe, is hurt. So, unfortunately, that fight is off that card on Saturday, unfortunately, but set to be rescheduled.
When was this? Just today they announced that?
A couple of days ago, I do remember seeing Stotts say he was hurt. Yeah.
I didn't see any of that. Like, I mean, because we have the same management, I thought, we would see that. But, yeah, I did not know that at all, man. That sucks.
But, I mean, has to be rescheduled because I do agree. It's easily whoever wins that fight has to fight Pettis next for the Bantamweight Championship.
It's just weird because Stotts and Pettis are teammates, so we'll see if they actually do, if he gets the win.
Exactly. But, I mean, you have Usman Nurmagomedov on the card. You have Chris Gonzalez, Goto Yamaguchi, which is a really good fight at lightweight.
Step up for Chris for sure. Again, he's an alpha male guy, so he's been on a roll there, and his wrestling is like he's one of the best in the room for sure. But this is definitely a step up in competition so it's a good opportunity for him.
But just to go back to the main event, because last week you said one of the things with Bellator that they kind of lacked was marketing, and I think with this fight, I mean, they're going all guns blazing. They got like a like a 24/7 type series, like a countdown following these guys vlog out there. Like, they're investing the emphasis on how important this fight is. They know the importance of it, and it's just years of hard work paying off of just investing in guys that no one knew about before they got there to guys honestly nearly being superstars.
Yeah, I think they are superstars. You know what I mean? And yeah, the Bellator is definitely, they know that this is the big one that they really got to push it, which is great. It's good to see that. I like seeing them do that stuff, man. But yeah, this is I probably like your investment, Bellator's investment from years past, and now it's kind of coming into fruition. You're going to cash out here with this big fight that's been so hyped so much, and I just hope it plays out to being a great fight. Whoever wins, I just you don't want to see like some you don't want to see a Jan and Sterling happen or something like that.
No, Bellator needs to have like the type of fight that Sandhagen and Dillashaw had last week. They need to have like this back and forth fight that goes the distance, can help bring some eyeballs on the promotion for a show that they got in a couple weeks with Mousasi against John Salter for their middleweight championship. But like Pitbull right now is, to me, the best featherweight in the world. Like, if he wins this fight, he just solidifies it even more. And then if he becomes, I don't know what his contract status is with Bellator, but he definitely need to be getting a look from the UFC to jump ship and be their featherweight, or if Bellator finds ways to just pay him a truckloads of money to be the face of the company. And then go ahead, Josh.
No, yeah, you're just adding.
But then there's McKee, who is the son of a fighter who was really talented, but had zero ability to get marketed because he was just of his style. And then here's the son, who's this flashy, amazing fighter, like the total opposite of what his dad is, that he could instantly be like the new kingpin at 145 and one of the most marketable guys Bellator would have.
Yeah. And literally had all his fights in this promotion, which is unheard of. You know, you don't see that anywhere. Like now, Bellator being a big show. When I know when he first started with them, it was like, you know, it wasn't like he wasn't a star yet. It was just kind of they pick up guys here and there. But yeah, man, they bred him, and obviously they saw something in him, and they were right, and now it's kind of paying off, and he has the chance here to, you know, just kind of propel himself into that. Like when they talk about, you know, who's the best featherweight in the world, like not just Volkanovski or Holloway, it's Pitbull or McKee, right?
I mean, Bellator got so lucky with how like the brackets worked out, how this Grand Prix worked out. And I think it shows the success of doing these Grand Prix. You know, we've talked about, they kind of hinted on their last show, a Bantamweight Grand Prix, which would make the most sense. But the Grand Prix have been, I think, all in all, even though some of them have taken, you know, forever to accomplish and complete, they're still valuable to the promotion because you get this fight in the finals of a tournament. Like, sure, the title was going to be on the line regardless because of whoever had to win. It's say if Pitbull lost, the champion was left to defend it. But $1 million is at stake. Well, like, there's just so much intrigue that a casual fan can just jump in and be like excited about this fight, not having to be hardcore.
Yeah, and especially going through the circuit, you know, you obviously put them at both ends of the bracket, different ends of the bracket, because this is the fight you do want to see happen. But very rarely does that actually happen in a tournament, especially a tournament with the amount of killers that it did have. You know, it wasn't like they just two guys and then everybody else was kind of throwing fights just to kind of, you know, these could have easily been some major upsets, you know what I mean? So they went through the gauntlet and they actually made it to the finals where they wanted and projected, and that's very rare to happen.
And I like how they're taking the chance of putting this on Saturday, kind of head to head with the UFC. Like, it shows how much faith they have in both Pitbull and McKee to, you know, sell this fight, bring eyeballs to Showtime. And among the MMA world, like, everyone's talking about Bellator on Saturday. They're like, that UFC card, it'll be fine. Like, good for Sean Strickland and Uriah Hall in the main event. But that card's been decimated by injuries as well and some COVID cases. But I think you kind of want to see what the alternative has to offer here, and sell yourself, have Bellator sell themselves to win some new fans over and kind of make things interesting. I don't know if it'll happen that way, but they're rolling the dice, and they're rolling the dice on the best fight they've ever put out.
Yeah, you're gonna have the Bellator fans watch. You're gonna have the MMA fans watch. You know, and then you're gonna have the strictly UFC people that don't watch anything else on the UFC. They'll still watch UFC, but then you'll have that kind of group that just kind of watches, you know, here and there, whatever, kind of the casual, but will be drawn to a bigger type of show. And that's where Bellator can pull, I think, some of those fans and get them over to watching one of their shows.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. Also, like, the first show outside of Mohegan Sun since the start of the pandemic. So at the Forum in Inglewood. So it's nice to see Bellator continue to put on a fight like this. But, you know, in a market too, like Los Angeles, like sure, it's Inglewood, but you're in California, you're in the second biggest market in the United States, and you've got a fight that I think can really help sell a lot of people on the promotion. Yeah,
absolutely, man. Yeah, I remember I stayed in a hotel in Inglewood for like a layover, man. The sketchiest hotel I've ever been at, man. Right downtown. Like, I found the cheapest one because I had no money at the time. And I'm like, dude.
Well, but in the words of Tupac Shakur, Inglewood always up to no good. So, so I guess that lived up to the hype. But hey, the Forum also has like all that history with the Lakers, you know, the Magic Johnson championships, and you know the Gretzky run there with the Kings and stuff like that. So. A lot of history's been in that building, and Bellator adds to it with such a great card that, as you said, this undercard that we talked about some of the fights as well on this card. But I mean, good for Bellator for stacking it up. You're going to meet some new names, and the good news also, we're going to have Morrow on this card, Josh.
Oh yeah, nice. Thank you. God, I like when Morrow is back on the mic. That's I think it just. I mean, the other guys are fine, but it just Morrow adds something else. You know what I mean? It's. I don't know. I guess maybe because it's just myself. I was like, my whole career has kind of started with Morrow. So when I hear that, it just kind of brings a little nostalgic into it. So, but yeah, he's just so good at it, man.
It just makes me. I mean, he's the right guy to voice such an important fight for the promotion too. And now that he's their play-by-play guy, I'm just excited for it. And I just, man, Saturday can't get here soon enough for me for that fight. Like. This could be the fight of the year too. Like 2 weekends in order, you could have fight of the year quality fights, and it's these lighter weights. We talked about bantamweight, but this is like the best featherweight fight we've had in a long time, like since those WEC days, Josh.
Yeah, man. No, this is a good one. I mean, yeah, I still don't know who to pick. I think I'm gonna go with Pitbull, just based on his momentum he's got right now and his confidence. I mean, both of them. The momentum. The other guy's 18-0, so his momentum's there too. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's literally a toss up though for me. It's so close, but if I had to throw something down, I go Pitbull.
I'm gonna go Pitbull too, because it's not like he's the moment maybe too big for him. Like he's been in tournament finals before, back in the Bjorn Rebney days of Bellator. He's had title fights in big markets before, like when he beat Chandler for said featherweight championship that he's got now, or lightweight championship when he won that. So, I mean, he's been in the moment, but I'm not like totally like 100% locked in on it, because like McKee's so confident, young. He's got this young man swagger with him, and like the McKeown that he hit on Darian Caldwell, like he could hit something like that out of nowhere and end this fight really early. So I think that's what makes this so intriguing. It's just how talented they are, where they're at in their careers, and we still we're seeing the best of Pitbull, but we still haven't seen the best of McKee.
Yeah, he just keeps getting better every fight, right? So, and it's a good one, man. Like I said, it's a toss up.
It definitely is. Can't wait to see what Bellator brings to the table on Saturday night. And as you said, there is a UFC. Uriah Hall's first fight back since the unfortunate Chris Weidman leg injury. And it's a big opportunity for Sean Strickland to get an opportunity like that. But yeah, it's no offense to that card or anything, but it's just Bellator, I think, has found a way to pigeonhole that audience for one Saturday night where there's a UFC every Saturday. It's like drinking Coke every Saturday. You want to see what Pepsi's got to offer that one Saturday.
Sometimes a little change up is good. You got to shake it up a little bit. Just same thing gets stale, Exactly.
Well, Josh, we'll wind things down here. I know you got yourself a busy week. I mean, your gym's back open and everything like that.
We are back to running, and we kind of changed up our schedule a little bit. Just kind of get our feet back in the water a bit, because man, we've been off for pretty much the whole time. We had a few weeks where we're open back up and then closed down again and all that shit. But yeah, it's it's like there from what I noticed at my gym anyway, so far it's only been like a week, and it's summertime, so it's very hard to tell, because most people kind of like to go away and do shit. Can't really travel a lot right now, but they're camping and whatnot. But I found with my mainstay people, like my diehards, they come right back. But some people I found lost a lot of motivation during this thing. They just become so out of their regular normal scheduling that they just kind of lost, I don't know, or maybe just become lazy, sitting on couches watching Netflix every day. But yeah, I noticed that a big difference, and I hope it changes. I hope it's not like how it is. I hope people get back to the gym and get back to being active.
I think you'll see maybe more of that change, once it gets colder and people want to find Wayne's out there. And, like this past weekend, there was a nice day. You can go to the beach or go somewhere and stuff like that and whatever. So hopefully you guys, find that success that you were able to find early when you started. And I know COVID was a bitch for the entire gym industry and whatnot. But hopefully people, get that motivation to come back. Maybe they're watching the Olympics and seeing some of these swimmers who are jacked to the gills or something like that and want to get their body like that and whatnot. But best of luck on your gym, man. I'm happy to see your gym back and getting another business off the ground, getting another venture out of there so you don't have to take punches for a living anymore.
Yeah. I've had the gym for we've been open 5 years now. So for a while anyway. And, it's just something that we obviously want to grow it and whatnot. But yeah, it's another kind of, another income stream, obviously, but that's not we didn't open to get rich with it. You know what I mean? It's just more to keep going with the martial arts, man. Kind of what I made a career out of, right? So it's just something I'll always, even if I didn't have a gym later in life, I'd still be part of a gym. You know what I mean?
You love the gym too much, Josh. The gym life is your life right now. So, well, best of luck with that. And then before I let you go, as always, plug yourself out there on Instagram where we can see your fantastic memes.
Gentleman Jay Hillman, man.
All right, Josh. Well, have yourself a good rest of the week. Best of luck with the gym. And we'll be back next week to break down all the happenings from Bellator, any news that breaks, and, break down this UFC card that has definitely flown under the radar. But that'll be it for this week. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Peace out, everyone. Have yourself a good rest of the week.